This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day. Carefully crafted for you by humans, so meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on the Fully Managed podcast. Thank you, V, so much for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm very excited about this game that we're about to play.
Oh, we're going to throw you right into it. This is my favorite game because it's kind of absurd. I live off of the absurdity. I think it's very fun. Okay, so it's going to sound very basic when I tell you the title. So it's called Market Me This. Okay. I'm going to give you a absurd product that I've made up, and you are going to tell me your plan for marketing it. I know that
this sounds like a super fun game for you, Shannon. Yeah.
It's so fun for me.
Oh, great. Let's do it.
Don't worry. I know, obviously we all know, everyone watching as well at least should know that marketing is much more complicated than just to sit down and read.
No, this is fun though. This is fun.
But you can go into any part of it if you'd like any part of a plan that you'd prefer to go in depth on. So it's up to you of what you actually want to say about the plan, because obviously marketing is way more vast to be able to give us a short.
What is this product that you have created?
Okay, so this product is, and honestly, yours is not that bad. I've given people really, really bad ones sometimes. Okay, it's called a deadline candle. So this is a candle that burns for exactly a certain amount of time. So I call it a deadline candle because it could burn for 8 hours, and that is your deadline for something that is due.
So you can choose the time.
Yes, you can buy a candle based off of the amount of time that you want it to burn.
Okay.
That is the candle. Market me this.
Oh, I have so many thoughts. Okay.
Perfect.
So the first thing that I'm probably going to do is some research around products that are similar, around things like, and I'm not joking, I did not stage this, these kind of desk timers.
Oh, I really
Do you have one of these?
No, I really like it.
So now I'm trying to get it to and now it's stuck. So I literally have a desk timer. If you've heard of the first thing I thought of was the Pomodoro method, right? So you pick about 20 minutes and you say, I'm going to focus on one thing hardcore for 20 minutes. Mm-hmm. They already make not only digital timers, but they make physical timers as well. Mm-hmm. And so that was the first thing that came to mind. So I would probably do some research around marketing strategies of similar products. And then immediately my thought is, this is the version of that for people who are trying to get away from technology. Mm-hmm. So people who are I am homesteading, and I am like people who are I don't want one more technology product. I don't want one more gadget. I want something cozy. I want something homey. I want something that's setting the vibe. And so I kind of think that's the angle with the messaging. So I've got some research, I've got some messaging, and then I'm going to really narrow in on a target demographic. And so to make it really niche and special, I'm guessing that it's going to have some different themes, flavors, not flavors. My husband always scents. My husband is always it's not a flavor, it's a scent. Why are you talking about it
we're eating the candle?
We're not eating the scent. And then it would have to be something super niche. So a friend of mine, Jackie, owns a company called Bombardier. They're fabulous. You should go check them out. But they do body scrubs, roll-on scents, things like that. And the thing that really makes it super popular is that she is so creative at naming, theming, and branding the different scents. That. So I think I would kind of go towards something like that and pull in all of that information in order to market. And then I would probably start with something small. So something like a local craft fair or farmer's market to kind of get some real customer, real world feedback on things. Maybe give them to people, see how they feel about it, get that feedback to make it a really, really great product. And then from there, it's all the basics. So basic website, got to have some fun social media, probably some digital ads in there. And definitely an email list because, you've got to own your own marketing list at this point. So probably how I would start. Is that sufficient?
So good.
How many candles are we selling?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm sold already. I mean, I think
Wonderful.
This is a great plan. Also, you made it in such a perfect little box. Like, you had everything planned. No, I think that was wonderful. So wait, so this is great to go off of also, because, okay, so for the candle, I think that having something like this that is not technology, as you mentioned, that maybe people are trying to get away from. So you highlight the importance of mental health incorporated into your business model. So I want to talk about that a little bit, because I feel like these kind of parallel, because trying to get away from technology sometimes when our entire world is technology. Yeah. So how do you foster a work environment that prioritizes your well-being? Because especially in agency work, which immersed in all the time, it is something that I think people find a really bad balance with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So when I first started the company, and this has been now over 11 years ago, I was in a place where I was on unemployment. I was having panic attacks. I was chronic anxiety and clinical depression. And when I decided that I was going to start I'm freelancing while I'm looking for a real job. And then the freelancing just kind of picked up. And all of a sudden it was like, this is the job. I don't need to go find another one. This is a whole thing. And so in the beginning, I was like, I'm not going to work with anyone. It's just going to be me. I'm just going to, manage myself, manage my own workload. And then within 6 months, I had 17 clients, retainer clients. And I was like, oh, this can't just be me. Like, I have to bring in people. And so when I brought in my first person, I thought about unfortunately, I was in that negative headspace still, right? Mental health, bad place. And I thought through, if I'm going to create a new team, if I'm going to make a company, I don't want it to be like any of the places that have caused this for me. I don't want it to be any of those negative, toxic, terrible workplaces. And so I kind of was like, well, what's the number one way to avoid that? And it came down to happiness. It really, which I know is a big word, but it was kind of like, can I really focus on the concept of each person being happy in their work? Right? Because ultimately, people who are happy in their jobs are going to do better jobs. And I did some research, around some companies, Google, Netflix, Southwest, companies that prioritize team before customers, because then the team prioritizes the customers. And so when I said, our number one core company principle is going to be happiness, I really didn't have a lot of practical application around that. It was, I just want to keep coming back to this. I want to make sure that people are happy to work here. And it evolved over time, but essentially what it comes down to is a lot of open and honest communication with people to say, hey, where do you want to go with this job? What task work are you enjoying? What aren't you? And P.S., they don't want to tell you. Your employees do not want to say, I hate doing this work, or like, this is my least favorite thing on my to-do list. They don't want to, because you're their boss. They want you to, they want you to think that they're great.
They love everything about it.
We love everything. It's my favorite thing ever. But you don't. And so by having that communication to say, look, we're going to bring you in to do this role, but it is reasonable that you will learn things, grow, adapt, change, and we want you to lean in to the things that you really enjoy, because that's how you will be happy, we will be happy, and we will all work best together. Like, I'm not trying to say it's selfish. I get the best work product out of the people who are in the right seats on the bus that love the job that they do. If they're doing too much of the stuff that they don't enjoy, they're not going to be doing it well. So it really is a win-win, but it takes you leaning in on the front end to be like, look, we're going to have regular conversations about every 3 to 6 months. What are you working on? What are you enjoying? What aren't you enjoying? I can't take that away from you today, but let's start to work you more towards the things that you enjoy. And P.S., why don't you help me find, hire, train somebody else to do the work that you don't like? Because someone out there really loves that. And so it really is finding that balance. We end up growing slower over time, if I'm being honest. It's a lot easier to just hire a bunch of random people and say, do this work. Yeah. But then you end up with a lot of turnover and a lot of people who aren't putting out their best work because they don't enjoy it. They're not happy. And so there's there's a trade-off there. But when we made happiness our core company principle, it really is that guiding light. It's that filter to go back and be like, regularly, are you happy in your job? And if you're not, is this the right job for you?
Yep. No, I think that balance, even though you might see growth that is slower, I think that is a good trade-off for the latter, because if you think about it, yeah, you can hire a bunch of people and you might grow at a quicker pace, but you also might experience way more problems along the way. Like people quitting last minute, not telling you about it because they're so annoyed and burnt out that they don't even want to give you warning, or you lose your best person because they've, like, in whatever position it may be, because they're burnt out and they need to leave or they need to be at a new place or whatever it may be. And those things are going to set you back a lot more than maybe growing a little slower. I think that the priority should not always be growing at a rapid pace. I mean, I think that's more of a like a monetary goal, I think, that people have when they want to grow really quickly.
Yes. And that's very easy for people to focus on. It's very easy for people to focus on gross revenue and to prioritize gross revenue as being the key metric for success. Mm-hmm. And I will tell you, like, I know that my agency's gross revenue is not as big as some of my peers here in the Nashville area. I mean, there's so many companies that are bigger than mine, but also, like, I love my job and I love my people, and they love their jobs. And like, we don't have stressful days. We don't have like, oh my God, we have to be like, we have a great net revenue. It's another thing people don't like to talk about a lot, is like, they're chasing that gross revenue number that they don't really prioritize, like you said, all the turnover and like the lack of productivity. And it's like, yeah, but how much are you actually taking home at the end of the day if you're constantly having to deal with all these stressful problems around your HR? Like, if you're running an agency, people are probably your biggest expense.
Yep.
And so if you're not taking care of and prioritizing those people, you're going to have a lot of other problems.
Yeah, and as you said, people who are happy are doing better work, like, overall, because they like what they do. You can see when someone loves what you do and what they do in their work. And if you're having a business model in which people are constantly going to be burned out, they're not going to be doing the same amount of work that you expect from them. They're going to get lazy, which I don't really love that word, because I think sometimes people are lazy for a reason other than them being...
They're disconnected from their purpose.
Yeah. And I think that really shows. And if you want to put out good products or good service or whatever it may be that you do, then you want your employees to want to do good work. And people don't want to do good work or feel pride in their work if they're not happy doing what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It is something that is, I love talking about it, because in the agency world, it's like such a big problem of prioritizing revenue over, I mean, it's everything in the business world, I think, very, very common, but I like talking about it, especially with someone who has a plan for it, because you can actively see that it works if you do put effort into taking care of your employees and their mental health. I think that a lot of people see it as like a waste of money or time or whatever it may be, but think about how much time you're wasting looking for more employees because you burnt out the old ones that may have been really, really good at what they were doing.
Right. Well, and the other thing too that I want to point out is that sometimes it's hard to understand, like, especially when you're hiring, right? I've just met you. You've just met me. I can look at your resume. You can ask me what my company does or what the role offers or is structured as, but I don't know you. Like, we don't know each other. Like, and again, like, when people come and they interview, they're going to tell you I'm sorry, but like, we want a job. You're going to tell somebody what you think they want to hear to get a job. And so, there are a lot of extra tools and resources that you can employ during the hiring process, during the onboarding, the training process, as people grow, to make sure that it's not just, hey, are you happy? Yeah, boss. Great. Like, are you, or are you just saying that? And then to your point, Shannon, like, they're going to leave with no notice because like I didn't actually listen to them or pay attention. But there are a lot of things that you can do to say, hey, look, like, these are the things that you gravitate towards. We use the DISC test, the DISC assessment. We use the strengths finders. I've worked at companies that use Myers-Briggs before, but it's like, whatever that is, it's like, there's nothing wrong with what you do. It's that you're programmed a certain way. You excel at certain things. You can't be universally good at everything, right? So it's like, I know who I am. I'm very self-aware. I've taken all the assessments and I know who I need to hire to support my weaknesses, right? But what that means is when they come in and I'm like, okay, well, you did the assessment and you're the opposite of me. It means that I have to be aware of that and adjust my communication, my pacing, my expectations to say, I'm not good at being slow and steady. I'm not good at sitting in front of spreadsheets for 8 hours a day in front of a computer by myself and checking things off like, that's not where I excel. I want to be running 1,000,000 miles an hour, which means I have to hire those steady Eddie spreadsheet people.
Mhm.
And I have to adjust my expectations and communications to where they're at, and vice versa, right? Like, we need to find a happy medium, but it's like, you have to find that common ground, and it takes time. A lot of people are not willing to do that. And it's like, well, then you have to find people that are really strategically positioned for what you need, because there might be a lot of learning curve, I guess.
Yeah, I think also opening the environment for that kind of communication is really important too, because it's not just being able to hire people for those gaps, I guess, but also with the rise of AI, there are so many tools that you can actually look into to replacing those tedious activities that maybe are like mind sucks or time sucks for you. And we wouldn't even think about exploring those if we couldn't even recognize that you hate doing so and so task or whatever it may be. And having those conversations opens the door for new ideas or innovative ways of making you happier, making your life easier.
Yep.
It's just a balance of opening that up, because I think that there's also many places where there's fear of being able to, I think it's almost everywhere, you have someone that's a authority figure, so to speak, above you. So it's intimidating for anyone to be able to express the qualms that they will have with something that they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. You have to, we have 3 core company principles. The first is happiness, like I mentioned. The next is we are a teaching company. Because everybody needs to be teaching everybody. It's not just me teaching somebody how to either do their job or, whatever, how to grow. Like, eventually, once somebody's been in their job for several months, they probably know that job better than I do now, because they're doing it day in, day out, you know what I mean? Like, that's what they own, which means that when that role or those processes need to evolve, they're the ones that need to be making the recommendations, making the updates, and teaching other people how to do that. Everyone should be teaching all at once. Our third core company principle is don't get offended, get better. And it doesn't mean that nobody ever offends, but what it means is that we all come to the table with the mindset of grace. Mm-hmm. If someone doesn't know something, or if somebody is making a suggestion, we're all going to give each other grace, that no one is trying to offend anyone. Everyone here is trying to work towards the common goal of improvement, right? We're all trying to improve ourselves. We're trying to improve together. We're trying to improve for our clients. And that includes me. Like, just because I'm the owner doesn't mean that I get to be like, it's my way or the highway, but all of you have to be not offended and get better. Like, it doesn't make sense. It means when I'm onboarding a team member, I'm the last interview that they have. And I'm about 3 or 4 weeks into their onboarding, I will do a check-in call. And I like to tell them on both calls, like, you're not going to work for me forever. You're not going to, it's agency life. Like, most of these people are in their early to mid 20s. This is their first real job. And I'm like, you're not going to work with me until you die or retire. Like, that's not going to happen, right? Like, please don't, for the love of God. Like, you're going to have to grow up, you got to grow up and do something.
But if you really love them, it's a job.
Girl, I love my team like they are family, and they will tell you that, but it doesn't mean that I want them to work for me. They need to grow. They need to grow beyond me and my agency. And so what that means is that I'm having conversations during the interview process. Before we hire them, the last interview, I'm saying, you will not work for me forever. And I would rather you tell me if you're not happy, because I will help you find another job. I will introduce you to everybody I know. I will give you great references. Just tell me when you're ready to move on. And I will have you help me find, hire, train your replacement while we help you find another job. Isn't that so much better than me firing you because you like you said, you got lazy, because you're not happy, you're unfulfilled, you stopped working, you quiet quit, or you just quitting with 2 or less weeks notice because you don't think I'm going to understand? Like, I don't expect you to be here forever. This chapter will end. Just let me know when we're getting to the final moments, right? And we will cross that bridge together. And I have so many people that have left my company on the best of terms, that I am still good friends with, that I still connect with, that I still, refer, that all those things, because it doesn't have to be bad. It's only that way if you want to. Nope, Like, this is mine and you are like, when that separation occurs, people don't feel connected to a larger purpose. They feel like I've been hired to do some work and leave. And when my boss decides they're done with me, like, why am I motivated to come to that job?
Yeah, I think people like to have, like, to know that their work is going towards something, and if you can't see what that thing is, then you never feel fulfilled. I think even as someone who likes spreadsheets, I think I think that to be able to see that your work is worth something, and if you're so separated from the outcome, or like if you don't, or if you're separated from leadership and you have no idea what you're working towards, it's like futile. Regardless of how hard you work, you can't really see your efforts go into anything. And I think that's a really difficult part for people in a lot of positions.
Absolutely. I definitely agree with that. And again, it's just something that you have to be conscious of as a leader, as an owner, as a, manager, to say, like, it's not the easy. I don't know. I think it's easier, but it's like a lot of people don't see it as the easy, but they're like, oh, well, I don't want to take the time to invest in people. I don't want to take the time to get to know people. I have a job that needs to be done. I'm paying you to do it. And it's like, that is true. But at the same time, like, how much trouble are you causing for you and that person or the 5 other people that are going to hold that role? Because it's going to keep turning over. You're going to keep having to solve problems over and over, the same problems over and over and over again. Because, you've heard before, like, if you want to move fast, move alone. If you want to go far, like, if you want to move far, move together. And so it's like, if you're not going to invest in the people around you, like, why would they invest in you?
Yeah. Why would you care about working for a company that doesn't care about you? Why would you care about the work that you put out there if you don't feel cared for yourself? It's just
Absolutely.
like kind of common sense at this point. Well, so on top of that, so since you talked about that, it's like this is a learning place, which I love, because this is why I love the podcast, because I love learning. I would go to school forever if I could afford to go to school. I can't, so I have a podcast. But so what is a big learning moment that you had starting Piccolo, or maybe during the process? What's like the biggest learning moment you had where you were like, this is really important? I distinctly will think about this all the time.
I will say, and this is almost, it's not converse to what we were just talking about, but it is the evolution of what we were just talking about. So I've had a lot of learning moments. I mean, to rank them or to narrow them down or to list them out would be impossible. There's just so many. But I have a mentor, Hannah Paramore, and she started, ran, and sold Paramore Digital here in the Nashville area over the course of, I think it was about 14 years. She had a really great exit. And now she coaches other agency owners. And in the first year or so coaching with her, I was really holding on to my people. And I had one in particular that had been with me for 5 years. She was my right hand. And for most of that time, she had done a great job. And unfortunately, she had some personal challenges in her life. Some things that had nothing to do with work, but just were, just personal things. People have things, that happen all the time. And so I got to the point though, where like her work wasn't working. She wasn't getting things done. She was pushing things off. We're a remote environment. Like, everybody's been remote for the whole 11 years of the company. And so it's kind of challenging, like the only way to show that you're working is to get the work done. And it just wasn't getting done. And so we had to have some hard conversations. I gave her a paid sabbatical. I was like, hey, we don't even have this as a policy. I'm literally making it up for you because I want you to have time to go, focus on yourself, get better, come back. That kind of thing. She came back and it didn't work. It just wasn't working. And so finally I had to make this really terrible decision to be like, I have to let you go. Like, you're the highest paid person on my team and you're dragging everybody down. And when I went to my mentor, I'm crying. I'm sick over this the whole weekend. I'm calling multiple, I have multiple mentors. And I'm literally crying over it. My stomach is sick. And I talked to my mentor and she said, Anna-Vija, I'm going to share something with you. And she said, it's going to suck to hear right now, but you need to hear it. And I said, okay. And she said, everyone will leave you. And she's like, in business, everyone will leave you. Your employees are going to leave you. Your clients are going to leave you. Your strategic partners are going to leave you. Your vendors are going to leave you. Your networking partners are going to leave you. Everyone is going to leave you. And she said, the sooner that you accept that and understand that it's just a natural part of the ebb and flow and the chapters of running a business, the better off you will be. Because if you have this level of emotional breakdown every time you have to let someone go, and she's like, honestly, you should have let her go 6 months ago. And she goes, but you didn't. You gave everything. You did all of these things to try to help her and to try to, mental health breaks and all these things. And she goes, you're not going to make it. She's like, you have to develop a thicker skin around. It's not the end of the world. It's not a bad thing. And so that was a really good lesson to learn. A few months later, literally a couple months later, my account manager, who managed all of my client relationships, surprised me by going, hey, by the way, I got another job. And I was like, oh my God, like I just let go of my right hand, thinking through the stability of the rest of the team. And now you're going to leave. Now what am I going to do? And and it was not good. It was not good. Sure. And then we had another account manager after that didn't work out, and we had to have another turnover. And that was a really tumultuous 6 months. But when she said, Anna-Vija, everyone will leave you. And if you can get more comfortable with that idea from the jump, from the start of the relationship, you got to know that it has an end date on it. You're going to feel a lot better and process through the ends of those relationships a lot better. And she was right. I mean, it's hard in the moment. It still hurts and it's still a bummer and it's still, a change, which is hard for people. But that was a really big learning lesson for me to be like, I really need to find some distance to say, like, I can still be a person. I can still love my team. I can still give them what I want. I can still try to make a happy environment. But also everyone's going to leave at some point. And like when that time comes, it needs to come.
Yeah, I think that's such an important lesson to learn as a business owner as well, because I think it also helps you create systems that don't grant panic if someone important does leave, because you know that there will be something in place that won't make this whole brouhaha, if that makes sense. Like, yeah. Yes, it's always going to suck when you lose someone that's very important to the company and like critical role.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
If you put systems or organize things in a specific way that whatever their job or position is like easier for someone who's coming into the position to learn, or maybe someone that's closer to them or their position that knows the ins and outs of what they're doing, it's very easy to like upgrade someone to that or whatever it may be. It's like once you unfortunately have those bad experiences, or maybe not bad is the word, but learning experience.
They're hard. Yeah.
Yeah. Hard.
I agree. I mean, I don't think it's bad, but it's hard. I mean, nobody is like, oh, you know what I'd really love to have happen.
Yeah, it's not like quit all the time.
Yeah, you don't wish for it, but it's like you get done with it and you go, you know what, I had to learn something from that. I had to learn something from the change. And almost every time that I've had major change in my company, not only was it necessary, but hindsight, 3 to 6 months later, in as little as 3 to 6 months later, it's like that's exactly what needed to happen. Yeah, and it probably should have happened sooner, but I fought it because it was change and it didn't feel good. And then it finally happened. And now on the back end, holy crap, I'm so glad that happened, because you build back better because you know new things, you have different resources and new life experience.
Yeah. I think that I love the idea of people learning more from failure than successes. And I don't know if necessarily someone leaving is a failure. It's just something that happens. But it kind of feels like that. And I think that those moments are really important, although they suck, because you learn something from them every time. Like maybe when that happened in the beginning, you felt like there were more systems that you might have put in place to discuss maybe the issues that someone is having, and maybe fix them before they want to leave or whatever it may be. And even doing that might not keep people from leaving, because that might make when people are comfortable and happy around you, it might even make them feel more guilty and weird about telling you that they want to leave.
It does. It's so crazy that you say that. That's very Shannon, because I have had people. There was one guy that it was early on, like the first few years of my agency, and I was ready to hire my first full-time salary W-2 employee. And there was a guy I'd worked with. He was at a different agency. I knew he wasn't happy. And I was like, hey, I think that you would be perfect. Can we have a coffee? Let's talk about the opportunity. And he was like, yes, I would love to come work for you. And I said, look, I've never hired somebody in this kind of role before, like a full-time thing for my company. Tell me what you want to do. I literally let him write his own job description, and I let him pick his salary. I was like, how much money do you need to make for this move to make sense for you? And he told me, and I said, I can do that. So he wrote up this whole thing. He starts working for me. First 30 days were really great. By day 60, by day like 75, I'm like, oh, he hates it here. I could just tell. I could tell so quick. I was just like, there's the micro expressions, there's a difference when people are engaged and they're purposeful and they lean in and they're, what else can we do? And he was there. He was just there. And I was like, hey, we need to have coffee. And so, we go get coffee. And I'm like, hey, I can tell that you don't like this job. And he was like, oh. And I was like, hey, it's okay. Like, it's okay that you don't like this job. Can we talk about it? Like, what don't you like about the job? What don't you, and like Shannon, he felt so bad. He was like, I'm so sorry. And he was like, almost like tearing. He was like, I feel terrible. He's like, you offered me this amazing opportunity. You literally let me write my job description and name my salary. You created this job for me, and I don't want it. And I was like, yeah, I know. I could tell. Like, I can see that you don't want it. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, why don't you want it? And he said, Anna-Vija, I just realized that I don't want to work at an agency. He says, it has nothing to do with you. You're a great boss. I really enjoy the team. Everybody's great. But he's like, I'm tired of being in, you've heard like, an inch deep and a mile wide.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm tired of working for like 15, 20 clients, but only a little bit. And I'm only touching some of the things and too many. He's like, I really, with the exposure to your agency and the new experience, I'm realizing I want to be, an inch wide, a mile deep. I want to work for a singular company and really get into the inner workings and fix all the problems. And I was like, great. I'm so glad that we figured that out. Let me help you find a job.
Yeah.
And he was like, what? And I just
so
was
nice.
like, dude, I was like, well, I'm
why
not
are you doing this for me?
I'm like, dude, why would I fire you today? I need you to keep doing this job. I know you don't love it, right? But you're good at it. You just don't want to do it anymore. Just keep doing the job. I will help you find another job that's better suited for what you want while you help me find someone to replace you.
That
and he literally was like,
scenario.
He's like, I've never talked to my my boss about finding another job before. And I was like, cool. Well, there's a first time for everything. Let's do it. Right. And
it's you're not a villain. I think that there's so many people that like, I think they have this like vengeance, or maybe like they're getting hurt that someone wants to leave and so they don't want to help them, but it doesn't make sense to burn bridges like that for long term. Like, you can have them still be grateful and maybe even do their job a little better because they know that you're looking out for them in that way, and then you can find a great person for the position.
That's the thing, is that like he was like, now that he knew he didn't have to keep the job and his guilt, he could be guilt-free because it was on the table and I had already identified it. He didn't have to feel bad anymore. I'm like, just go, like, help me find the person and then give me the building blocks to make this a good job. Like, teach, right? What have you learned? What can we make better? What systems can we put in place? What videos can you record to give context and institutional knowledge to the next person? And he was like, oh my God, this is great. And it's like, yeah, like, we don't have to hate each other. And I know that that's not how that works at every company. And some companies are too big for that. But it's like, I had 3 employees. I'm like, dude, we do not need to burn the house down because you've decided that you want to work for a single a single brand. Like, it's fine. It's fine. But to your point, like, it can be hard for people to be honest because they don't feel they've got what we call corporate PTSD. Right? They're like, no, like, I cannot be honest with my boss because then I'll get fired or then I'll get reprimanded or punished. And it's like, that may happen. I'm not saying that other managers don't do that, but it's like, boy, wouldn't it be a really great place if we could all just like trust our employees and like we could all be honest with each other as adult human beings that are responsible to get their work done. Like, I don't need to know when you're going to the dentist. The number of times that people are like, hey, can I go to the dentist next Tuesday? I do not care when you go to the dentist. Like, just go. You need teeth, Go ahead and get those taken care of. Like, are you going to get your work done on time? Yeah, I'll just work an hour over. Okay. Like, I don't know that. Like, just yeah. But again, you have to have that mindset from the top of the organization down, because you can't tell the entry level people, the workers, you can't say, well, you have to be open and honest, but then they get penalized or punished for being open and honest.
Exactly. Then you're just passive aggression almost. It's very doesn't make sense. You kind of practice what you preach in order for people to actually believe and not be scared of you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've had jobs in which I quit and I cried quitting because I was like, oh, you were such great. Like, I had great managers. I just didn't like the job for whatever reason. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't want to quit because you guys are so great and I see you working so hard and I'm sorry. And I think those are maybe, a example of being a good leadership role is that people do feel upset when they quit, is because they know that they feel bad because they respect you. I think that's like really what it is that like they're not angry, like they're not leaving because they're angry.
Right. And that's the thing, there is a sense of loss. I mean, when you work with somebody side by side, for a long time, and these are friends, these are family. I mean, this is somebody that if I'm talking to somebody every day, 5-6 days a week, for years on end, there's going to be a loss. There's a grief there when you're like, oh, well, we're not going to have that anymore. And at the same time, I can be very happy with them that they're moving on to something that's the next step for them. Mm-hmm. Like, it can be both things. And there's been times where I've lost people and really been like, oh gosh, this is not good. I'm going to lose this person and we're going to be in trouble. And inevitably we're not. We find somebody who's better qualified because now we know more and we've accomplished more and we've evolved since hiring the other person. And like, now we can hire for that, or like we're hiring in the direction we're growing, not where we've been. Like, inevitably it always works out. And it's just, you have to have the mindset to be like, yeah, like this is just part of it. It's just part of the journey.
Yeah, and I think that is a perfectly wholesome note to end on, because I think it's very sound advice, and we're also a little over time, but I think
sure.
so fun. Thank you so much. I think that Absolutely. I really do like talking about these kind of truths that are very real in the agency world, because I think people are very scared of talking about them. And I think the more that we talk about the being realistic with like people being human in the workplace, the more people will change their strategies to adjust for people being better workers because they have better lives in the workplace.
Yeah.
And so I really appreciate you talking so much about this, because I hope that people listen and model themselves off how you're doing this, because I think that it's really, really lovely.
Absolutely. Happy to share.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me again. And thank you everyone for listening. We'd be nothing without you. So I hope that you got to learn from this as I did. And I hope you get to check out other episodes and get to learn like I get to every time.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest. And to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend and, of course, subscribe.